And that's basically what it is, being an audience member. You know, you can sit back and relax and you just enjoy yourself for an hour and a half during the show and forget about all the troubles that you had for the day or the week or whatever. I started doing stand-up comedy in about 2005, and I went to this place in Boston called the Comedy Connection. I went up on a Monday night, and I loved it. I was like, I can't wait to do this again. This is gonna be my life. And then it didn't, you know, I worked landscaping, I worked retail, you know, I was doing all that stuff, but always kept with, at night, going out and doing comedy. And in 2014, I quit the day job and just did comedy full time. So when we moved here to Bristol, it just like made sense to, you know, try and bring that here as well. A lot of people wouldn't think that I was very funny. I think like in school I was very quiet. I was more like I'd be quiet for a while and then maybe I'd say one thing that everybody thought was funny, but I wasn't like a class clown or anything like that. But yeah, I'd say like growing up, probably a lot of my friends and family thought that I was like a funny person, but a lot of people that wouldn't know me very well would not say that of me. They'd just be like, Sean's so quiet. We weren't expecting to move to Bristol. We were living in Boston and we decided to take a big road trip, and we let the lease go on our apartment and sold all of our furniture and everything that we owned and packed up into an RV. And we're like, we're just gonna go on the road, living in this RV for like a year, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna live next. And we got to Bristol, where this is Sarah's hometown, my wife Sarah's hometown, and where her parents still live, and we came to visit them first on our road trip. And then the pandemic hit and everything shut down and we couldn't go anywhere else. And so we lived with them for about 6 months, and then we started looking for a home and talking about, what if we just started doing comedy here? Instead of trying to do comedy in all these other places, what if we just did weekly shows, you know, all the time, full-time comedy club in Bristol. It's beautiful here. You know, where else would we want to be anyways? And your family's nearby. And so we did it. We just started looking for a place and, you know, planning on opening up a business. Like I said, we hadn't been planning on opening a business, so we kind of got coached through creating a business plan a little bit. We had some help from the Chamber of Commerce in Bristol. Gary gave us a hand a little bit with that. My wife also has an MBA, so she understands business. But we started working with them and kind of putting together what we would need and looking at what we were gonna have to do to get open. You know, how many seats were we gonna need? How are we gonna get permits for, you know, everything that we're gonna have here, and what kind of sound equipment do we need? Some of that stuff I was already familiar with from comedy, but some of it was new to me, you know, not having run a room entirely on my own before, yeah. She helps me a lot in the business. I mean, to the point that the business would not exist if it were not for her. So she does a lot for the business, and I book comedians and I tell jokes, and that's a lot of what I do, and she does pretty much everything else. I think she's very happy to be back in Bristol, you know, back home. We lived in Boston together for a long time, and we like it there, but we were ready to get away from the traffic and stuff like that and come back to a nice, smaller community with there's a lot more space, and it's enjoyable around here for sure, yeah. So the club that I came up through in Boston is called the Comedy Studio. It was run by a comedian. He hosted most of the shows, and people that would come to shows would know him. And I kind of like that, and I do that a lot here. I host a lot, and I try to be kind of the face of the comedy club, you know, and interacting with customers and new comedians and all of that. I think as a comedian, it is really helpful to have performed and then to run a comedy club. It makes you understand what's important in that business. You know, some people think that, oh, I want to go to a comedy club and I hope they have good food. Well, that's not why you're coming here. You know, like some comedy clubs might try to focus on things like that. For us, it's the sound needs to be really good. Everybody in here needs to be able to hear things clearly. The lighting needs to be good. Most of all, the comedians need to be funny. Unless it's open mic night, then we don't know what's gonna happen. Some people come out kind of hoping to see some people crash and burn, but for the most part, it's very positive, even on an open mic night. But sound, you know, lighting, funny comedians, that stuff is what's most important to us here. And then everything after that, you know, that's the experience I think people are looking for in a comedy club. They want to laugh, right? And so for us, that's the most important stuff. Wednesday night is largely local because Wednesday night is our open mic. So it's a lot of people that live in the area. Sometimes people come from Asheville or Knoxville, but a lot of people in the Tri-Cities area come to open mic night on Wednesday. Thursday is still kind of local. We do a comedy debate show where we just pick a topic, like it could be dating or, you know, movies, things like that, and we debate that topic. And a lot of our regulars from the open mic night and some of our weekend people come and do that as well. And then the weekends are really when we bring in people from other cities most of the time. During my time in Boston, I was fortunate enough to get to know a lot of people that went on to kind of bigger and better things. You know, people that are writing for TV shows, people that have performed on late night television. Oftentimes we get people here that have either been on Fallon or been on Conan or Comedy Central. So every week we put our calendar up on our website and people can check it out. And, you know, there might be a video up there from their Conan set that you can see and, you know, see if that's a good fit for you. I always tell people when they're like, what show should I come to? Watch their video online. See if this is a person that you want to go watch for an hour, you know? I try to find people that I think have mass appeal, you know, that most people would appreciate this person, and not too much of a niche. I try to stay away from anybody that's too dirty or too political. I know those are things that can be very divisive, but, you know, sometimes people they get a little off color at times, the comedy show. We added a clean show. You know, a lot of people ask us if we're ever gonna have a clean show, and we did put one on the calendar, but we'll have another one. We're gonna keep trying to add them now and then to make sure that, you know, everybody can come out and enjoy themselves. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a balancing act, just making sure that, you know, it's something that everybody can have a good time coming out to. You know, you don't want anybody to leave here feeling like they were, you know, somehow insulted or, you know, didn't hear what they were hoping to, you know, hear. During my hosting, I'll tell a joke or two, you know, while I'm hosting. And sometimes I'll do a set in the middle of the show and have somebody else host. If we have somebody new that I think, oh, maybe they'd be a good host, I'll have them host and I'll do something in the middle of the show. Once or twice I have headlined the club where I've done an hour on stage, and it's really fun. Of course, that's what I would prefer to be doing, is just comedy full time. But you know, because we have a lot of regulars, I'm trying to give a lot of variety so that people can come out each week and see something different. You know, they're not gonna come see me every week and the jokes that I've been doing, yeah. At the beginning of the show, usually I tell people where the restrooms are and to silence their phones because, you know, we don't want anything going off during the show. And then to just enjoy the show. You know, if a comedian asks you a question, feel free to answer them, but other than that, you don't want to be talking during the show. And that's basically what it is, being an audience member. You know, you can sit back and relax and you just enjoy yourself for an hour and a half during the show and forget about all the troubles that you had for the day or the week or whatever. And just, you're gonna have somebody on stage that spent years crafting a set to make you laugh. That's been their sole purpose for years, is to just figure out how to make people laugh. And they're gonna go up there and do that for about an hour. And you just get to sit back and enjoy that. And you can have a drink, you can have a hot dog, but most of the experience is just sitting back and, trying to have a laugh. This is a question that we get a lot. People ask, do I have to have tickets ahead of time? And the answer is no. Most nights you can come up and buy a ticket right there at the door as the show is about to start. The only exception would be if the show was going to sell out. So a lot of times the more popular shows, like I mentioned, we're gonna have a New Year's Eve show. That one, New Year's Eve is a big night for a comedy club. So that one I would recommend, planning ahead. But most shows, you can just walk up to the door and buy a ticket. You can learn about classes on the website, blueridgecomedy.com. You can find our full calendar of upcoming shows at the website, blueridgecomedy.com. We are gonna have a big New Year's Eve show that's on the calendar. Lots of stuff on there to check out, So we're on Facebook. We have a page for the business on Facebook, Blue Ridge Comedy, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you're of the younger generation. The website is probably the easiest way to find everything that you would need for the club, blueridgecomedy.com. You can find our calendar up there, all the shows that are coming up, anything like that. So we have a comedy class that runs every 8 weeks. It's an 8-week course, and it's usually about 6 people that we have in our class, and we go through kind of the fundamentals of joke writing. What is a premise, a setup, a punchline, a tag, a callback. These are all technical terms that, maybe if you're watching Comedy Central, you don't exactly know what you're seeing, but there is a craft there to, study and understand and apply. And we run a class that kind of helps give you a little bit of an understanding of that. We've had 2 groups come through already, and a lot of the people that come through that class come to our open mic night on Wednesday. And I think it's a really good way to, we run the class at 6, we do the open mic at 7, so you can go right from, working on your jokes in class to bringing them to the stage that same night an hour later. People that don't have any experience in comedy, haven't written any jokes, would be good for the class. I think that if you're coming in with an open mind towards learning, that's a positive. Probably the hardest person to try to teach comedy to would be somebody that thinks that they already have it figured out. So definitely, if you've never been on stage before, you haven't written a ton of jokes, the class would be a great way to start. And if you've written some jokes already, then it could still be a great way to start, to just start applying them and, getting on stage and maybe talking with the other people in the class about the jokes. It's a good workshop opportunity. Yeah, for a couple of years, I was just kind of going up and doing stand-up without ever having studied it at all. And I was around some people that had, and so I picked up some of the stuff that they were talking about without completely understanding it. And then after about 2 years, I decided to take the class. Up in Boston, there was a man named Rich Gustis who would run this Comedy 101 class. And I took it and I started kind of understanding a little bit more of it. It definitely helps, even if you're already doing some stand-up, just kind of understanding it, it can help you kind of with some writing exercises and bringing things to a next level. I'm hoping that in the future, in the coming months and within the next year for certain, one of the comedians that's gone through the class and is doing the open mic and all of that we'll be able to get somebody to kind of run their own show during the week. Right now we're doing Wednesday through Saturday. Maybe we end up having a Tuesday where we let one of the newer people, run their own show. They can book it, bring the people in that they like, maybe create some different segments for the show, and just see how that goes. I like to recommend places when people are asking where to eat, because we don't have a lot of food. We have hot dogs, that's about it, snacks. But if somebody wants to get dinner before, or go grab food afterwards, I love to send them over to 620 or, the corner. Spence at Cascade is a good friend, so I'm always telling him he's got a great beer selection. And a lot of places have told me, come hang up a poster, let me tell my, crowd about you. Over at, Bristol Station Brewery, they've done that for us. State Street Brewing has said, hey, come bring a poster over. Corner Bar is always hanging up, So it is nice to be in an area where so many people are like, yeah, let's try to help each other, and, and just let everybody know that we're here. The foot traffic here is great. There's so many other great businesses, just on this street, even in this building. So people are already coming to downtown Bristol. So the number of people that we've had when I've just been in here getting ready for the night, and they're walking by our doors and they go, I didn't know there was a comedy club here. And they're just discovering us just by us being here. That's better than any advertisement I think that you can put out there, is being in a place that people already want to go to, and them discovering you there. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people coming in telling us that they're gonna come back, that they had a great time. A lot of people telling me that they've never been to a live comedy show before this, and that Bristol needed this so badly, and that makes me feel really good, because when we opened the place, we were going, well, is there a market for this? Like, obviously we love it, we wanna do it, but will people come to it? And to hear that as people are leaving, and to see repeat customers, we're starting to get to know a lot of our customers. So that feels really nice, is to kind of be building what we think of as a comedy community, really.
And you too, sir. I didn't mean to leave you out. You're also the best. Wow, okay. He said, I know. Perfect.